Every vote from every citizen deserves to be counted.
What the hell?
The movie about the Florida madness of 2000 is called Recount. The Haunting would have been a good name too.
How hard is it to punch a paper ballot? It's pretty bad.
Then confusing punch card ballots either registered the wrong vote, no vote, or two votes.
Get your magnifying glass out.
With Bush and Gore apart by just a few hundred votes, recounts were ordered. Protesters got louder as the results tightened.
Gore must go!
November 22nd, weeks after election night, with votes still meticulously being examined, a turning point. Republican operatives bellowing without evidence about voter fraud at the Miami-Dade election office.
Arrest him! Arrest him!
The man being screamed at and chased out, the Miami-Dade Democratic chair, Geoge W.
I literally thought at one moment there that I might be knocked down and maybe just stomped to death.
He escaped unscathed. The election did not. Later that day, the recount was called off.
That recount was canceled in Miami-Dade County because of violence, fear, and physical intimidation.
Lawyers for both parties took the fight from there all the way to the Supreme Court. And with a 5-4 decision from a conservative-dominated bench officially stopping the recount,
President-elect, United States.
George W. Bush became president.
We thought that all of the stalling and delaying tactics that the Republicans employed were ridiculous. Sooner or later, they have to count all the ballots. Well, it turned out we were wrong.
Wrong because there was and still is a deadline by which a state has to appoint those going to the Electoral College. Counting cannot drag on. So his warning, watch for parties trying to stall, he says, trying to get the courts involved.
I think there's going to be many attempts to muddy the waters.
He worries, too, about the streets.
What's your sense of what protest in 2020 might look like in terms of a disputed election?
I don't think we've moved in a positive direction, and we have someone in the White House who incites violence.
The specter of violence is why businesses in D.C. are boarding up, some right at the offices of Republican Christopher Metzler, a conservative legal scholar who admits he's worried too.
If it is not a clear winner, America will have to batten down the hatches because there will be significant protests.
The activism of the courts also bothers him. It was unprecedented in 2000.
Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, the courts have been deciding political issues more than they should. As a constitutional scholar, it concerns me greatly. I don't care if it's a Republican court or a Democratic court. That is not the job of the courts.
This is already the most litigated election in American history. 400 lawsuits and counting, and Election Day hasn't even happened yet. The Supreme Court is already involved. If results are overwhelming either way, litigation won't be an issue. But if it's tight, keep your eyes on mail-in ballots.
From the standpoint of the average American voter, what we want to know is that our votes count. If people feel their votes did not count, it will permanently undermine democracy.
I fear for democracy in my country.
Some parts of voting are better now in the United States. Punch card ballots in 2000 were so flawed they were abandoned. Ballots now are more accessible, the counting process more transparent. And the message is sinking in. This election may take a while to call, not because something's wrong, but because taking time to count means something's going right.